one?
Yep.
All right.
Pop strikes first. Any pliers? Sweet. All right, we're gonna move. Already been here too long. There's plenty of fish here. They don't want to play. Yeah, you can really see that thermocline, that 15 foot, all that hazy stuff. There's fish sitting around in it. I'll show you these fish that I've been throwing at.
So this line right here is the back of the boat where you're transducing.
Yeah,
at.
here's the boat right here, this middle line. And then this is the open water. This is the bottom right here, that harder return. And all this is between the bottom of the boat and the bottom of the lake. And we got it set out at 80 feet. So it's shooting out at a downward angle down to 80 feet. So this black is just kind of, just till you hit that. Here's fish right here. See that little white dot?
Yeah.
White dot, those are fish. And
Out there 30 feet.
yep, 30 feet off to the side. And then of course this is downscan, so this is directly underneath the boat. Think of this as like 2D, you know, but it's a more modern version of 2D. And then that's a fish on the bottom right there. Well, that's actually a little ball of bait right there. But yeah, that's how that is. It's just right side of the boat, left side of the boat. And a lot of times you'll see stuff out in here, like that's something right there, a little white. And when you're running, the fish just look like little white blips. They don't usually line up here like they do on Kentucky Lake. Kentucky Lake's got hard bottom, so when the fish is on the bottom and sitting up off the bottom, you'll see these little dots. They really line up. This bottom here is more like clay, so they kind of blend in a little bit better. It's a little bit harder to find fish, but that's bait. That's a little wad of bait, a little bit of bait right there. It's bait up there high in the water column. That's actually down in that thermocline. But what we were fishing is right. I was fishing, there's hard stuff right here. There's like a brush pile there, and there's some hard stuff way out on the end of this point. That's what I was throwing at. Seems like every time I start to pee, you'll hear a boat coming. It'd be like dead quiet for an hour. As soon as you start peeing, here comes a boat. Yeah, when you get done with that cast, start casting kind of out that way. There's a little underwater point that comes out. That's where I caught that big one at, off the end of it. And there's fish just kind of scattered all out through there. Don't get worried about getting hung up. If you get hung up, we'll go get it again. Ain't no big deal. It's a black box about that big and about that wide. And inside is it's a spring-loaded pulley. You get one? Heck yeah. Told you they're up there. Nice. They're getting smaller.
Yep. That's all right.
That's all right, man. Good job, man. Two to one. Starting to pull away. There he is. Cracked it. It's a better fish. It's one of them 4-pounders. He cracked it. That might be closer to 5. That's a 5. Come here. No, it ain't. That's 4. Look at he ate that jig, man. Just crunched it. There we go, folks. Look at that, man. Little Cumberland Pro Lures 1/2-ounce pig jig in the mug, man. He choked it. That was a heck of a bite. Out here, happy Father's Day. Fishing with my dad, Pop, out here. And we've been trying to get in a boat together forever, and we just decided to make it happen. So happy Father's Day to all you folks at home. Hey, having fun, man. We're bouncing around. We started out on a main lake point. The fish were there. We just couldn't get them to commit. So we bounced around to another point, and he's already caught one on a little swim bait. I just cracked one on that jig. Life is good. I should take a picture of that. This thing's super handy. It's called Auto Trieve. It's got a lure knocker on it, but it's got a retractable thing that mounts underneath your deck. So it's just right there. You can do it one-handed. Just pop it on, drop it down, instead of having to reel in your lure retriever. That's Jonathan.
Huh?
That's Jonathan.
Oh, yeah.
As soon as I went past him, I'm like, hey, that's Jonathan. As soon as I passed you, I'm like, hey, I think that's Jonathan. And I turned around and look, and you were spinning back around. Hey, you too, brother. Good. Yeah. Catching them up?
Yeah, I think later
good.
In the day they'll start schooling up a little bit.
It's a really good evening spot. Like 5 to about 6 o'clock, they really start feeding right in there.
I was thinking they would be there first thing this morning, but I guess with that haze, they didn't want to.
Yeah.
They didn't want to feed.
A little bit of wind helps too. You got a little bit of south wind blowing across that.
Anything down there deep?
Where?
Down back towards Cumberland.
We started on fence row. I had 3 bites. There's some stripers kind of moving around there. Nothing. Then I fished this. Some fish on the bottom over there. There he goes. Decent fish. Go. I saw that fish on the live scope. Threw it in front of him and he followed it down to the ground, down to the bottom. Not a bad one.
Yeah.
2-pounder. Man, your house is looking good down there, the rent house.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I just get on it and finish it. And hit a lick on it 4 or 5 months. You know, I got 3 sides done and most of the 4th side. Love the landscaping you got out there. When I pulled in there, I was looking out the driver's side. There he's looking in the, I went to the garage. There was 1 bag of sand. I said he had trouble and it opened. Went downstairs, went to the mechanical room, went around the house. And I said, what are you looking for? I said, looking for that sand. He said, it's up there by the road when we came in. It's on my side.
Yeah, let it sink for a little bit too. Just count to like 2 or 3, let it sink, and then just start reeling it real slow. Get it down there a little bit. Ooh, you had one come right up to it. Yep, sure did. He followed it and turned away. There's a little brush pile right out here. So you were down about 6 feet. That's the plane that your bait was on. So we're in 17. So if you let it sink for, I would just throw it out and keep your bail open and let it sink all the way to the bottom. Okay, now start reeling. See what happens. There's a lot of fish out there. Yeah, you're at about 8 feet right now. Keep reeling, you got one coming up to it. That was close. I think there's small bass or crappie coming up out of that pile to look at it. Man, they're swimming right up to it and they're turning away. It's super close.
How can you tell the difference in grass?
Size and the way they're set up. Oh, that was a bite and missed. Yeah, crappie will stack up more vertical and stuff, where a bass will typically spread out. Typically a bass isn't like, they're in groups of 2 to 5 unless you really find a big school. But crappie will be groups of like 10 to 20. And then usually bass, a lot of times the bass are moving around a little bit more, or crappie just kind of stay stationary. Got him. There's a group of fish. I don't know if you can see that big ball of bait right there.
Yeah,
but there's fish, this size fish just hanging out inside of them. Get one? Nice. On that crawl? Heck yeah, that's a good one. Show them to that back camera.
Happy Father's Day, everybody. Hope it was good. It was good for me. I invited Pop, my dad, which is technically my stepdad, but he's been like a father to me. Finally went fishing with him. He's been married to my mom for seems like 20 years, and we've never made it happen. So I made a commitment, and that's one thing that I'm guilty of not doing, is thinking about things but not making a commitment. So I encourage you out there, people that are watching this, make those commitments. Try to do stuff with your father, your mom. If you're a father, make sure you make time for your kids. Take them fishing. Take your father fishing, your significant others fishing, or whatever it is that you do, because life is short. I think it gets harder as we get older. We're so focused on point A to point B that we don't make time to do those things with others. And if you're having some difficulties with your father, man, make amends. Reach out to them with an open heart, with all seriousness, and try to just rekindle whatever there is left. I know that's not always possible. But still make an effort. If you make an effort, it doesn't work out, at least that's not your cross to carry. It's not your burden anymore. You've done what you can do to rekindle that. And vice versa to fathers, reach out to your sons, try to get that stuff figured out, because life is short, man. You don't want something to happen to somebody and you're like, man, I wish I would have reached out to them. I wish we'd have left on a better note. A lot of times we don't contact our loved ones and our relatives. We go long times without actually talking to them. And, I think that's understandable at times, but make sure that one that you haven't talked to in a while, you do your best to have a good relationship with them. It's not always possible, but just have the best relationship that you can. Spend time with those people, because life is short. And I really had a lot of time out there fishing with Dad, with Pop, with Rick. Caught some fish, and it was a lot more about just being on the water and enjoying your day. And one cool thing that I noticed was I talked to Jonathan. He was out there with his sons. His dad Tom was out there with his grandsons. There was a lot of fathers and sons and grandpas and grandsons running around the lake, like just a ton of boats. And most of them, there were 2 people. And it looked like there was 20 years of separation between most of them. So that was that, you know, father, grandfather, son, grandson relationship. And it felt good. It felt good. It was a peaceful day. It was good. It was just a short day. We caught a few fish. Mission accomplished. So, man, think about those others. Do your best to make a commitment. And you never know. Life is short. Stay positive. Till next time.